Imagine you're sitting at a round table with some of the greatest legends of American history: John D. Rockefeller, Henry Ford, Thomas Edison, Alexander Graham Bell, and you get to ask them one question. How did you do it? What separated them from everyone else? Why did they build empires while so many others chased the same dreams and fell short? That exact question is what lit a fire in the mind of a young man born in 1883, Napoleon Hill. Years later, that fire would become a book that quietly, then massively, reshaped how the world thinks about success. Think and Grow Rich isn't just a catchy title. It's the result of decades of studying some of the wealthiest, most accomplished, and influential people of Hill's time. But what makes this book truly timeless is that Hill didn't just tell their stories. He cracked the code behind their mindset. He uncovered the mental blueprint they all shared, and he boiled it down to 13 powerful principles. These aren't theories, they're tools. They're not about luck or connections or being born into the right family. They're about how you think, how you decide, and how you show up in the world. And here's the wild part. Even though this book was written nearly a century ago, it still feels like it was made for today. Because what drives human achievement? Desire, faith, clarity, persistence hasn't changed. So if you've ever wondered what it would be like to sit across from greatness and ask, what should I do next? This right here is your answer. Let's kick things off with the foundation of it all. Desire. Principle 1. Desire, the starting line of success. According to Hill, every big win begins with one thing: a deep, burning want, not just a casual wish or a fleeting thought. We're talking about a white-hot, clear-cut desire for something specific. He even laid out 6 very practical steps to take that vague yearning and turn it into a real goal. 1. Get super specific about the amount of money you want. 2. Decide exactly what you're willing to give in exchange for it, whether it's time, effort, skills, or resources. 3. Set a concrete deadline. When do you want this to happen? 4. Create a solid plan and get moving immediately. Don't wait until you feel ready. 5. Write all of this down into one clear statement. 6. Read that statement out loud twice a day, once in the morning and once at night. And here's the key. Say it like it's already true. This isn't about wishful thinking. It's about embedding your goal so deep in your mind that it becomes part of who you are. Hill tells a great story here about a man named Edwin C. Barnes. He had one goal: to go into business with Thomas Edison. But there was a catch. Edison didn't even know who Barnes was. Still, Barnes wasn't just daydreaming. He was obsessed with the idea. He didn't want a job near Edison. He wanted to be his partner. So, he showed up in New Jersey, tracked down Edison, and asked for a chance. Edison gave him a minor job, not what Barnes was aiming for. But Barnes stuck with it for 5 years, quietly waiting for his opportunity. Then one day, when Edison's team rejected one of his new inventions, Barnes saw his moment. He stepped up with a plan to sell the product himself. The result? Massive success and a real partnership with Edison. Bottom line? When your desire is that focused and you're willing to back it with relentless action, you create your own opportunity. Now let's talk about a word that might feel a little intangible. Principle 2. Faith. Fuel for the fire. But Hill doesn't mean this in a purely spiritual sense. He's talking about a state of mind, a belief system where your thoughts and desires are fused with confidence. When that happens, something powerful kicks in. You unlock access to what Hill calls infinite intelligence. Without faith, your goals start to feel impossible. Your subconscious mind shuts down before you can even try. But when you mix faith with desire, you create a mental environment where success can actually grow. Hill even offers a self-confidence formula you can use to build this mindset. 1. First, Believe deep down that you're capable of achieving your purpose. 2. Know that your dominant thoughts, good or bad, will eventually shape your reality. 3. Keep focusing on your desire, and it'll naturally seek to become real. 4. Make a personal pledge. You will not quit until your goal is achieved. 5. And remember, pursuing your dream should lift others too. By doing the right things the right way, you'll attract the right people. Hill points out that millions of people stay stuck because they believe they're cursed by bad luck or external forces. But in reality, it's their own negative thoughts programming their subconscious to fail. Flip that around, and you have the mindset of the wealthy. It's not just about hustle. It's about believing in the thing you're chasing. Because you're not just thinking, you're thinking with faith. Okay, so now you've got this desire. You've built belief in yourself. But how do you keep that mental momentum going? That's where autosuggestion comes in. Principle 3. Autosuggestion. Train your inner voice. Think of autosuggestion as the way you reprogram your own mind through repetition and emotional intensity. It's like self-hypnosis, but way more practical. Here's the idea. Your subconscious mind doesn't accept or reject thoughts like your conscious mind does. It just absorbs whatever gets past the gate. And the way you slip past that gate is by repeatedly feeding your mind clear, emotionally charged thoughts. This is why reading your written goal statement aloud, especially with belief and emotion, is so powerful. It's not about convincing the world. It's about convincing yourself on the deepest level. Hill emphasizes this. No thought, positive or negative, can get into your subconscious without passing through this process. That's why your input matters so much. What you listen to, what you watch, what you say to yourself, it's all programming. So, autosuggestion is really about taking back control of that programming. It's your chance to be the voice your subconscious listens to. Principle 4. Specialized knowledge. Focused wisdom beats general facts. Let's get real for a second. Having a ton of general knowledge might make you great at trivia night. But when it comes to building wealth, it's not what you know in general. It's what you know deeply that makes the difference. Hill calls this specialized knowledge, and he makes it clear. Having a focused skill set or access to people who do is what truly moves the needle. Andrew Carnegie, one of the wealthiest men of all time, openly admitted that he didn't know much about the technical side of the steel business, and he didn't need to. What he did have was access to a powerful group of experts who did know. That was his secret weapon. So here's the takeaway. You don't need to be a walking encyclopedia. You just need to either become an expert in your lane or surround yourself with people who are. That's how fortunes are built, not through scattered knowledge, but through concentrated expertise, organized with a purpose. Think of it like this. Wealth flows to people who bring focused value to the world. Now let's talk about something a little more creative. Imagination. Principle 5. Imagination, the workshop of the mind. Every product, every service, every revolutionary idea you've ever seen started as a spark in someone's mind. Hill believed this so deeply, he called imagination man's only limitation within reason. He breaks it down into two types. 1. Synthetic imagination is when you remix what you already know, past ideas, things you've seen, read, or experienced, and rearrange them into something useful. 2. Creative imagination, on the other hand, comes from nowhere obvious. It's inspiration, a gut feeling, an idea that seems to pop into your mind out of thin air. So how do you tap into this magic? By focusing your mind with strong desire. When your brain is on fire for something, you naturally start noticing ideas, patterns, and opportunities all around you. You're training your awareness to spot what matters, and that unlocks both kinds of imagination. And here's a tip Hill offers. Switch up your environment. Go for a walk in nature. Settle into a cozy library. Sip a coffee in a bustling cafe. Whatever stimulates your senses and loosens your mental gears. Sometimes, a shift in scenery is all it takes to unleash a new idea. In other words, your imagination is your personal idea lab. But you've got to keep it active, curious, and emotionally engaged. Okay, you've got the knowledge. You've got the ideas. Now what? Principle 6. Organized planning. Dream it, then build it. It's time to get practical. Hill says that turning desire into real-world results requires a solid, organized plan. And here's the thing. Your plan doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be in motion. He gives 4 key pointers to keep in mind. 1. Form a team. Bring together the minds you need, your own personal dream team, to help bring your vision to life. 2. Offer fair value. Figure out what each person gets in return. People don't give their best for free, and it doesn't always have to be money. It might be equity, support, shared goals. 3. Meet regularly. Consistent check-ins, twice a week or more, help shape, refine, and align the plan. 4. Keep the harmony. If the vibe's off, fix it fast. Everyone has to be on the same page mentally and emotionally. And here's a big one. Temporary failure is not final defeat. If your plan flops, adjust it. Regroup. Rebuild. That's not quitting, that's strategizing. Hill reminds us that most successful leaders, they started out as followers. What made them rise was their willingness to learn, adapt, and grow. He even lists 11 traits every great leader should develop. 1. Unshakable courage, the kind that moves you forward even when the path is unclear. 2. Self-discipline, the quiet power of doing what needs to be done, even when you don't feel like it. 3. A deep sense of fairness, treating people with integrity, no matter the stakes. 4. Decisiveness, the ability to make clear choices and stand by them. 5. Clarity of vision and plan, knowing where you're going and how you're getting there. 6. Going the extra mile, consistently doing more than what's expected or required. 7. A magnetic personality, being someone others enjoy working with and trust. 8. Empathy and understanding, seeing the world through someone else's eyes and responding with care. 9. Attention to detail, catching what others miss and making excellence a habit. 10. Personal responsibility, owning your actions, your results, and your impact. 11. Cooperative spirit, building unity, not ego, knowing that great things happen together. The point is this: leadership isn't about a title, it's about action. And action starts with a plan. Now, let's talk about one of the most underrated superpowers out there: the ability to make a decision and stick with it. Principle 7. Decision. The power of being. Decisive Hill is crystal clear on this point. Successful people decide quickly and change their minds slowly. Unsuccessful people, they do the opposite, hesitating endlessly, second-guessing everything, and letting other people's opinions steer their direction. Here's the truth. Once you know what you want, you need to act like it. That means making decisions with conviction, not rushing blindly, but choosing purposefully and moving forward without looking over your shoulder. Hill doesn't say, don't get advice. In fact, trusted counsel can be gold. But at the end of the day, you have to make the call, and do it with confidence. One of the biggest dream killers out there is procrastination. It's the sneaky cousin of indecision, and it robs you of momentum. Hill even found that among hundreds of millionaires he studied, the one thing they all had in common: they were decisive. They didn't wait for perfect conditions. They made a call and adapted if they had to. So ask yourself this: are you steering your life, or are you handing over the wheel to other people's opinions? Principle 8. Persistence. How badly do you want it? Now let's move to a principle that separates the dreamers from the doers. Persistence. Desire starts the fire. Faith fuels it. But persistence? That's what keeps it burning when the wind blows hard. Hill challenges us to really think, are you willing to keep showing up for your dream? Even when there's no timeline? Even when it's hard, or lonely, or unclear? Because that's what persistence is. It's choosing to keep moving even when there's no applause, no reward, and no visible sign of success yet. He says persistence is basically your insurance policy against failure. Not because it prevents setbacks, but because it keeps you in the game long enough to outlast them. When you persist, you give life more chances to intersect you with opportunity. And persistent people? They've got a few things in common. They have a clear purpose. They believe in themselves. They make and stick to plans. They act with knowledge. They surround themselves with the right people. And above all, they refuse to quit. Hill reminds us, the world is full of people who gave up just one step before the finish line. But those who kept pressing forward, they turned temporary defeats into breakthrough victories. So the real question becomes, will you be one of them? Principle 9. Power of the mastermind. 2 heads or more are better than one. Success doesn't have to be a solo climb. In fact, Hill insists it shouldn't be. The next principle is all about the mastermind group, a small circle of people who are all focused on one common goal, helping each other succeed. Think of it like a group brain. When 2 or more minds come together in harmony and purpose, they create something bigger than the sum of their parts. There's both a practical benefit, more knowledge, more insight, more feedback, and a spiritual one, a kind of shared energy that accelerates momentum. Hill explains that this kind of group isn't random. It has to be intentional, built around trust, shared vision, and mutual respect. One great example? Andrew Carnegie again. He built a steel empire, not on his own technical skill, but on the back of a powerful mastermind team, around 50 men who helped him design, build, and market his product. Carnegie credited his entire fortune to the strength of that group. The metaphor Hill uses is brilliant. One battery gives you power, but a network of batteries, that gives you serious energy. And the same goes for people. So, if you're trying to build something meaningful, don't try to do it all alone. Find your people, build your circle, create your mastermind. Okay, stick with me. This might be one of the most surprising principles in the entire book. Sex transmutation. Principle 10. The mystery of sex transmutation. Transforming passion into power. Hill's not talking about suppressing your desires. He's talking about redirecting them. Taking that incredibly strong human energy, the desire for love, intimacy, connection, and channeling it into creativity, ambition, and achievement. According to Hill, the most accomplished men in history, the ones who built empires, wrote timeless books, created legendary art, were often deeply driven by their sexual nature. But what set them apart was their ability to take that fire and transform it into productive power. He points out something deeply human. Men, and we could expand this to people in general, have, for ages, been moved to impress, pursue, and provide because of the influence of a romantic partner, especially women. Just like animals compete for attention in nature, human effort has long been tied to that same primal drive. And Hill goes even deeper. The right romantic partner doesn't just inspire action. They can elevate your spirit. Love, mixed with romance and desire, becomes a powerful cocktail for genius. So rather than let this energy stay stuck at the physical level, Hill urges us to raise it, to use it to write that book, build that business, pursue that vision. Because when you blend physical desire with imagination, faith, and purpose, that's when real magic happens. Now, let's head inward to your subconscious mind. Principle 11. The subconscious mind, the silent bridge to infinite intelligence. Hill calls this the connecting link between your conscious thoughts and a higher intelligence. It's like a garden. Whatever you plant, ideas, emotions, beliefs will grow. But it's up to you whether you're planting weeds or wildflowers. Here's what's key. Your subconscious isn't sitting around doing nothing. It's always working, always processing, always absorbing. That's why it's so important to be intentional about what you feed it. You can't force your subconscious to do what you want, but you can influence it through repetition, strong emotions, and clear intentions. Hill emphasizes that emotions, especially positive ones, like faith, desire, love, and enthusiasm, are the fuel that activate the subconscious. Think of emotions as yeast in bread. They're the rising agent. Without them, your ideas just sit there flat. But with the right emotion, they rise, grow, and take form. So feed your subconscious wisely. Be the gatekeeper of what goes in, and you'll be amazed at what comes out. Here's where it gets a little more science meets metaphysics. The brain, your mental broadcasting station. That's Principle 12. You might not see it with the naked eye, but your thoughts are real energy. They vibrate, they transmit, and when they're charged with strong emotion, they vibrate at an even higher frequency. Hill compares the brain to a broadcasting and receiving station. When you think with enough intensity, your thoughts shoot out into what he calls the ether, this invisible medium that connects all minds. And here's the kicker. When your thoughts are vibrating at the right frequency, you can receive messages too, ideas, hunches, bursts of inspiration through your creative imagination. Sound a little woo-woo? Maybe, but think about it. Haven't you ever had a gut feeling, a sudden idea, a spark that felt like it came from somewhere beyond logic? According to Hill, that's your brain picking up the signal, because it was tuned in. So how do you get in tune? You guessed it, with desire, faith, and emotion. The same ingredients we've been talking about this whole time. And now, we reach the final principle. The sixth sense. When intuition becomes your guide. This is the inner voice, the gut instinct. That flash of insight you didn't see coming, but just know is right. Hill describes it as your creative imagination receiving direct guidance from infinite intelligence. This isn't something you control. It's something you develop through practice, awareness, and aligning your mind with the other 12 principles. When you've trained your brain to think clearly, to desire strongly, to act consistently, and to stay emotionally tuned, the sixth sense shows up. It might come as a quiet nudge, a sudden idea, a vision in the middle of the night. And when it does, pay attention. Hill included this chapter to round out the full picture. Because in the end, Think and Grow Rich isn't just about money. It's about self-mastery, about understanding the laws of nature, the power of thought, and the deep joy that comes from knowing yourself. Let's pause for a second. That was a lot of insight packed into one ride, wasn't it? But here's the thing. Think and Grow Rich was never meant to be a one-and-done kind of book. Napoleon Hill didn't write it for passive readers. He wrote it for action takers, For people like you, who are hungry to grow, ready to shift, and bold enough to believe that real change starts in the mind. These 13 principles? They're not magic tricks. They're not hacks. They're mental habits. And like any habit, they take time, repetition, and commitment. So here's my challenge to you. Don't just let this be another episode you listened to and moved on from. Pick one principle, just one, and apply it this week. Whether it's rewriting your goal with clarity, tuning into your faith, or surrounding yourself with the right people, move from learning to doing. And if this episode stirred something in you, an idea, a breakthrough, even a question, don't keep it to yourself. Hit that like button, drop a comment, and let's talk about it. What principle hit home for you? What's your biggest goal right now? I read every message, and I'd love to hear your story. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode, because we're just getting started. There's so much more timeless wisdom to dig into, and I'd be honored to walk that path with you. Until next time, remember this: your thoughts shape your world. Guard them, nurture them, and aim them like an arrow toward the life you deserve. Thanks for listening, and as always, stay hungry, stay focused, and keep growing. I'll see you in the next one.